I've never been much of a runner, and I'm definitely not the most optimal one either. I'd say in the past 18 months, I've taken it way more serious, and I got into it through the classic breakup and reading David Goggins' Can't Hurt Me book. Because running gave me a sense of control when I lacked purpose and nothing did feel like it was going my way. Last year of summer, I set the goal of running a marathon because I wanted to prove to myself that I was actually worth something and I could also do something difficult. And that event has taught me so many things that I now know today. For example, I was naive in thinking that hydration was simply just drinking more water, and I completely ignored sodium. Yeah, that did not go well. There's something beautiful when it comes to doing hard things, whatever that might look like to you. And it's this stoic concept I learned through Ross Edgley when he completed his 510-kilometer swim. And he touched upon something called eudaimonia, which is peace of mind and fulfillment that is achieved through the pursuit of something great, which involves struggle. It's when you jump in bed, you know you've made the day your bitch and you're just knackered. That's the feeling I strive for each day. You also learn a few things about yourself. It teaches you what it means to have grit, tenacity, resilience, or perhaps even gratitude. You're way more capable than you think. There's always something left over in the tank. A few months later, I signed up for an event that would be my first ultra, and it was 31 miles. And after completing that, I found it easier relative to the marathon. So I made a promise to myself I wanted to run one more ultra before my birthday. But this was the problem. As the months went by, I scouted the internet to see what ultras I could do within the UK. However, there was a financial barrier and also the element of actually travelling to the place, and I don't have a car, which was an excuse for me to not sign up for these runs. However, I knew my birthday was closing in, so I went onto GB Ultras and I saw that you actually had to be 20 in order for you to sign up. So I emailed them to get clarity on their own rules, which I did end up getting a response, and it just gave me confirmation that I would not be able to run. That could be my excuse. However, I would know that I would be chickening out. On YouTube, I saw Fergus Crawley run across Ibiza, which was 31 miles. I was also going to Ibiza in September, so I began training to run an ultra. And as the weeks went by, I decided to do a test run, which would be 26 miles to test the conditioning of my legs. They were fine, apart from a small cramping in my right hip flexor. But I knew deep down that I could run 31 miles and it wouldn't be that challenge I was looking for. So I had the ambitious goal in the back of my mind of 50 miles because I just, in my head, doubling the time and the distance seemed somewhat manageable. I then came to realise there was a few complications with trying to run across Ibiza, such as more drinking, more partying, the sleep deprivation, the excess holiday weight. So I decided to scrap that and fully commit to running 50 miles. And I genuinely thought, give me a couple of days from my holiday, so that would be the Wednesday, I could go and run 50 miles. And when push came to shove, I realised that it would not be possible. And that weekend I was also away in Manchester from Friday, Saturday, Sunday, which further added to my sleep deprivation, and I was all over the shop. Bear in mind, 3 to 4 weeks have almost passed by and I haven't done any training or running since. Talk about suboptimal. And for the past couple of months I found myself constantly talking about this ultra marathon I was going to do, yet nothing was really happening. I said I am running this following Wednesday after returning from Manchester, and I'm not going to do it the Saturday, I'm going to do it the Wednesday, otherwise I won't do it at all. Which brings me to the day before the race.
So today we're one day out from sort of the 50-mile ultra marathon, and the plan of attack for that is I'm going to wake up about 3 a.m. and then get myself ready, get some nutrition in me, get plenty of sodium within me, get plenty of carbs within me, and then sort of get out on the road by about 3:30 to 4 p.m. If I'm completely honest with you, it actually hasn't hit me yet, or the idea of running 50 miles hasn't quite been comprehended within my mind. There's only so much preparation I can actually do. A lot of it actually just comes down to doing the fucking thing. I'm expecting the worst. That's what I'm genuinely expecting. And in terms of my actual strategy, I'm going to be running at sort of a 6:20 kilometer pace, because again, from my marathon my legs started to get a bit tight, but again I think that was more of a sodium issue. And it's just going to be interesting to see how well conditioned I am, because again I'm 1 to 2 kg heavier as well compared to sort of my training weight, which again is also going to be an interesting sight to see. But I know I'm going to give my best effort, but I don't think I can lose. I just don't think I can quit. But yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow at 3.
Well, good morning people. I'm just making my breakfast now. Just giving myself some oats and stuff. And again, I'm not too sure how much to fuel myself in terms of nutrition. I'm just gonna overdo it a little bit because I'd rather be overfueled than underfueled. Just got an electrolyte tablet. Time to just crack on and do the job. Wait, it is quiet. I'm not sure what I expected, but let's start this on the watch. Let's go, baby.
And the moment I began running, I had an immediate problem. I was also taken by surprise later in the journey, which you'll find out about. I intended to run at a 6:15, 6:20 pace, as I mentioned.
So I'm 1 kilometer down. I'm at about a 6:50 pace, 6:40. Got some niggles in like back of my leg, my knee, my left lower back.
But given the way my right shin and my right knee felt, my pace very quickly dropped to 7 minutes a kilometre.
To be honest with you, this run, there is a bit of self-doubt now that I'm on the road. My cardiovascular system feels quite off. I just feel very out of breath.
So I would breathe in like and it would hurt, and it felt like I had limited capacity to the amount of oxygen I could intake in.
We'll get through. Anyway, it's through.
And that was throughout the whole run. And to be honest, for the first lap, I was more considerate of my life. But do you remember how I had them oats from earlier? Well, they would haunt me for the first 2 hours with explosive. And if I'm honest, this run wasn't exactly the most scenic. Of course, I had the beach, but most of it was spent staring at the floor, coaching myself, keep moving forward, one step at a time. It's only one more lap, reframing the entire journey so I could actually make it to the end. And another issue that also I didn't really plan for was digestion, and how I had to keep starting, stopping just to go to the toilet. So whenever I'd start running again, it felt really painful to get back into the flow of things, and not to mention my belly felt inflamed as well. I could literally feel the weight, which again is not ideal, and I'm sure there's multiple factors on why that happened. Definitely not an inclusive buffet. And before I carry on, I had the expectation of finishing at 1 to 2 p.m, roughly about 10 hours worth of running.
This run isn't really going according to plan. Both of my hip flexors are incredibly tight. I'm experiencing a fair few digestion issues. I feel very groggy. I don't think the lack of sleep helps. Like I was saying, the main issue is that I'm only 20k in and I'm already struggling a fair bit. On my arm, actually, like, you guys got chill down here because my arm hurts too much. Rougher than I expected. We keep moving forward. That second lap in, my legs, mate, or specifically my hip flexors, they are sore. But I'm gonna go stop at the Premier. Just realised I'm gonna need a bit more nutrition than I thought. That's gonna be a rain cloud. So that's lap 3 done. I'm back again for another toilet break. It's so weird because there's a mixture of like frustration and irritation, yet joy that there's less than a marathon left. It's also frustration why I'm so sore and why I'm in so much pain. It's just like I trained for this and it's just nothing seems to be going according to plan or how it planned out in my head, and it's irritating. I'll be honest, it is irritating. But yeah, like, just gotta shut the f and get on with it, do you know what I mean? So, but I just had a bit of a moment on the toilet in a way, like just contemplating about why the fuck am I doing this? You know, my lungs hurt, my fucking belly hurts, like my legs hurt, everything just is in fucking pain, and I've got another 3 more laps to do, and it's just, I thought it would have been like, I know it's hot, I don't know. When I tell you I'm in the hurt locker, it's even hard to talk. Like, I can't fully expand my lungs. That's so weird.
Yeah, had to stop again, man. Gotta finish it. I've got to.
This close to calling it in because I'm just in fucking agony, man. But I just can't. I won't. I just couldn't live with it. Like, because I know it's possible. It just fucking hurts. Like, I know I can do it now. I'm so close.
But that surprise from earlier ended up hitting me on the 5th lap. I wasn't prepared for myself to feel the way I did at that time, because I struggled to have the will to keep pushing forward because I felt incredibly lonely. Being in your own head and doing the same tedious movement pattern again and again and again for hours on end with literal 0 human contact was something I didn't even know was possible to struggle with. And within 10 minutes, my nan and my auntie came to give me the emotional support I needed. And the reason I did really badly need it as well, because like I said, my will to keep moving forward was diminishing very fast as I began running at 10 minutes a kilometre. That's about a 17-minute mile, which you could probably walk faster. So I'm now drenched, my feet are soaked, I'm feeling sorry for myself. My knees were locked out, my quads felt extremely sore, and my entire body felt tender to the touch. But I did get some sweets, some cuddles, and also water. I got water. That was nice water. And all I had left was 13 miles, which I've done countless times before. And I genuinely knew deep down, like in my soul, I can't even explain where I felt it, but deep down here, I knew I could do that. However, it would just take me 3 hours at my given pace. So I tried running again in the cold with a crappy rain jacket, and my knees felt rough, but I genuinely couldn't keep moving forward. I was convinced I would have gotten ill, so I had my nan pick me up again. She literally left like a minute ago, and she took me home where I could warm up, refuel, get changed, dry off my shoes, and then I would immediately find myself back on the road as soon as possible. So I took about 20 to 30 minutes to recover, and also let my Apple Watch charge because that kept almost dying, and I would have been fuming had I not got that tracked. And to be honest with you, that last lap was a complete blur. I don't even think I recorded it because it was a slog. And I'm not even sure where I had the willpower to run an extra 8 miles. I couldn't tell you. And by the time I finished that, I am genuinely dragging my feet behind me. The back of my calf was killing now, and I still had another 6 kilometers to go before the race would inevitably finish.
6k left.
I did tell myself one thing though, and that was pain is temporary. Because I've been in a worse condition from my first marathon, I genuinely thought I had rhabdo. I think it's rhabdo. Me knowing I would recover and that I was safe gave me a bit of a comfort. And then 3 painful laps later, I could then see the finish line.
I'm in the last mile. In the last mile. One more mile. Has to be done. One more. One more. Fucking did it. I was done at 80.5.
It was more of a big bloody sigh of relief and the pain than happiness. I went to Mackey's after, but it took me 30 minutes to walk there. I almost fell asleep in there. My phone died, and then it took me another 30 to 40 minutes to walk back, and I genuinely don't think I've been in more pain. This is me simply trying to get myself up the stairs. I've never knocked out on my bed so fast in my life, and this sort of picture with my dog was one thing that kept motivating me to continue. I even made a full recovery by the Saturday, which is absolutely mental, except my right foot felt a bit sore and swollen. Like I could squat, I could lunge, I could do anything. And just over a week later, this is sort of my final thoughts on the event and me really reflecting on it. The first thing that this reminded me of is that when there is a will, there is always a way. And I apologize for the cheesy, motivational, whatever, but it's genuinely true. When you identify something that truly matters to you, not your parents, not your friends or whoever, but actually you will go and find a way. There is no negotiating that. And that brings me to my next point. I've recently changed my definition of what it means to quit, and throughout multiple times of that video, I said how I wouldn't quit. However, what I actually meant was that I would not give up. Now, giving up in my definition would have been simply stopping due to suboptimal conditions or that I would have been in pain. However, I personally couldn't live with the regret of what if. I now think quitting is a logical assessment of your current circumstances to determine whether something is actually sustainable or possible to do so. Appreciate context there is really important. But for example, if I broke my leg mid-run, it would probably be within my best interest to quit. But that wouldn't be me giving up. If I decided to no longer run at mile 37, that would be me giving up simply just because I was in pain. But even with knowing them sort of two definitions, and plus it's very easy to tell yourself a story which would allow you to quit. But anyway, nothing inherently makes you give up or quit. It is always a conscious choice, which is a double-edged sword. It is both liberating because you're in control. However, it also means that you need to take responsibility of where you want to go. It all falls down to you. I find myself all the time falling into the trap of talking or planning what I'm going to do. I even mentioned it in my last video as well. It was only when I read a book called Ego is the Enemy by Ryan Holiday, which the first chapter is talk, talk, talk. And that references multiple quotes such as saying talk is cheap, or specifically the one that clicked with me the most was talking and doing fight for the same resources, the same energy, the same time, the same attention, and time will pass whether you talk about doing the thing or actually do the thing. Fundamental principle that I have to constantly remind myself of. And I also didn't document the process on social media because I didn't want that external pressure to live up to other people's expectations, so I just kept it to myself. Maybe next time I will, maybe next time I won't. But if there's one thing you take away from this entire video, it's simply just replace talking with more doing. And 4 is self-belief, which is a super interesting paradox, because in order for you to believe that you can do something, you actually have to go and do it. Therefore, there's a sense of delusion when you set out these massive goals, because you're aiming for something that you've never done before, which is not a problem, but I'll get more into that later. If you find yourself making a few excuses about why you can't do something, perhaps because of a limiting belief, then I just have a few questions for you. You're right. Now what? I want you to imagine that when you're 80 years old, you're reflecting back on your life and this specific moment here. Can you live with the regret of never taking action and always wondering what if? And then finally, what is the alternative? I'm not saying you have to go achieve something incredible or mad or whatever, but They're really nice questions to just cut through the bullshit. And returning back to sort of self-belief and how you cultivate it, it really comes down from breaking that sort of massive abstract goal into a really small, specific, actionable step that you could perhaps do right now. And although that action might seem incredibly small, such as a 1 kilometer run, what you're doing is that you're actually proving to yourself that you're competent, and consequently that also builds confidence, and then that will make you want to try a little bit harder or a little bit further next time. Therefore, you slowly build a stack of evidence. However, it's actually important that you look back at the evidence, and then eventually it becomes something that you can even dream of. The TLDR is that self-belief comes later, not before. And the reason it's scary is because it's unknown, there's uncertainty, and you could very much fail. However, I feel like a lot of people fail in their own minds because they set the goal as the outcome. The classic one might not be getting someone's number. However, that outcome is going to be influenced by multiple different things that are outside of your control. So if I think we can set the goal to the input or the specific action that you need to do, I think you can then always win because it always falls down to you. Whether I ran 50 miles or not, the fact I got out on the road and attempted and gave my best bloody effort would have still been a win to me. So you not getting the desired outcome isn't failing. However, you not even bothering, you not even trying, you not even attempting to get back on your second, third or fourth or fifth try, that would be failing, in my opinion. But that 50 miler can really be boiled down to me putting one foot in front of the other for a long period of time, and that's about it. And it's just focusing on the next sort of step you need to do to nudge you closer to your own goals.
So my camera ended up dying, which is just sick, but another few lessons I took away was the actual importance of relationships and just having a support network. Like the fact I could call upon my friend and also just have my family there when I needed was just really helpful in terms of just getting me across that edge, and it just made it a bit more purposeful in a way. It just made it a bit more manageable. So that's just really important. It's just, you don't have to do these things alone. I also learned a few things from like a training perspective in terms of like how to actually carb load properly. I went on Google Scholar and had a bit of a scout there. But yeah, that is pretty much most of it, or what I can really remember sort of a week later. But with that in mind, I hope you enjoyed this video and you actually took something out of it. Again, it's one of them things where you commit your mind to whatever you choose, whether it's fat loss, you want to get jacked, whatever it might be, you can do it. Because like I said, when there's a will, there's a way. And I know my role as a PT is to educate and inform, and you don't really do this cheesy mindset stuff, but I think it'll help you genuinely. So have a good one, and I'll chat to you soon.